What's up, guys? Thank you for joining in on this podcast of Aligned Identity. This will be my first podcast coming out. I look to be posting a podcast episode every single week, and your support is immensely appreciated. Thank you all for tuning in, whether you know me or not. I really want to put a lot of effort into this, and hopefully, I can give you guys some positives from this, whether it's things that you can implement in your life or maybe it's just positive vibes, something that you need to grind out a work day or a long trip, just some content to fill up your mind with hopefully some positive informational content. So, with that being said, I really wanted to be able to be a educational podcast, but I'm not a scholar by any means. A lot of the things that I have come to learn is through a lot of podcasts, through a lot of content, through a lot of educational things, books, educational content. Andrew Huberman is a big role model, a big influence of mine. Also, Modern Wisdom. They bring on a lot of great guests on his podcasts. And honestly, it's been really transformational for me to hear some of the contexts and some of the information that people give on these podcasts. Diary of a CEO is another one. Makes you a little more open-minded to a ton of different concepts and things that you really have never thought about. And it's one of those things where it's like I clicked on just not even like a catchy title. For a while there, I just needed things to fill up my day, and I would just click on random things that I just had no idea or even interest in what was being spoken about. And some of those things have really shaped my mindset every day. Some of those things have helped me exceed my expectations this year. And, implementing them into daily life has increased my pleasure with life. Holy shit. But the main point is I just want to be able to have a podcast where people can come to. Hopefully I can pass on some information, some knowledge from those podcasts. And I just really appreciate you guys' support. I look to have guests on sooner rather than later. I realize this solo thing is a bit difficult. Just staring at a camera, I'm not quite used to yet. And I think to have a good conversation, it'd be better to bring on someone with some knowledge in a field. And I think I can really extract some good information from them and keep a interesting conversation going. So bear with me. I have some people on mind and some people I've been reaching out to come on the podcast. It might be on Zoom, so it may not have this kind of quality, but nonetheless, I'll make sure that it's good content and that I put the work in to make sure you guys enjoy it. And give me any of you guys' feedback going forward. I'll really appreciate it. But anyways, so I had a really strict format that I wanted to follow, and I was having a hard time. This is technically take two. I had recorded for like 15 minutes, and I realized like I'm not an educator. I'm not a scholar in these things. And I was acting like I was, which is not necessarily going to be me, right? Anyone who's listened to this or anyone who knows me, as I just proclaimed, I'm not a scholar. But I like to take information I hear and implement it into my life and hopefully pass some of that information and some of that that skill of implementation and hopefully pass that on to whoever's listening. So first thing that I kind of wanted to talk about was habit forming, or forming habits and implementing them. Andrew Huberman podcast, Huberman Lab, has a episode about habits and habit forming. And I'd really recommend that you guys take some time. I think it's like an hour and a half episode to go through that and listen to it, because I listened to it one time and he goes into such deep depth on what is going on in your brain when you're trying to form a habit, and talks about like resistances to forming that habit, talks about like duration to form a habit, but he'll break down like to a cellular level of what's going on and how you can change, call it your biology, and change habits to form new ones. And it was really transformational for me when I like listened to that podcast, because he took some things from James Clear, and I think he references James Clear, who's the author of Atomic Habits, who one day will be on this podcast, believe it or not. No. One day, we'll see. But I also read that book, and I could see some similarities that he talked about. A lot of the things that we want to do and will give us pleasure are going to be difficult things. It's not going to be an easy change to your life to get the reward that you're searching for. So for me, I was a bad spender about a year ago, and I'm still not perfect by any means. I still splurge on stupid things, and I've kind of got away from some of those habits I used to have. I used to be very impulsive, and I used to have certain tics that I would like load up a cart, and then I would never I used to just like load up the cart, send it right away. But I gave my rules every time I purchase something. Every time I'm like really wanting something, I'll build the cart, and then I have to lock my phone. And I have to like give it about 10 minutes. That's my thing. I have to give it a break. And if I can come back to it and justify it again, then more than likely I'll purchase it. Or sometimes I'll add more things, or I'll deduct things from the cart. And then that's when I know I'm not going to buy anything at all. If I'm really still contemplating purchasing whatever it is, it means that it's not that important to me. Like, I've been going back and forth. I'm purchasing a new iPhone for probably months. And every time I just load up the cart, I'm like, okay, I need it because my phone's cracked. What if I wanted to do mobile content? And like, I want to be able to take better pictures. You know, I give all these reasons, but nonetheless, the price point just doesn't match the effectiveness that I'm looking for. And if the phone were cheaper, I would definitely buy it, right? Like, if it were $200 for a new iPhone, hell yeah, sign me up. Like, that's exactly like about the range where I could justify these things. But because it's $1,000 for a new iPhone, $800 for like a refurbished on eBay, and even when I look at lower models like $500 for an iPhone 13, I'm like constantly trying to like get it more and more in my price range to where I could justify that purchase. And it hasn't happened yet. Until I crack my phone and like need a phone, it's not going to happen. But those are the kind of triggers that you need to implement into whatever habit you're trying to form. If you're someone who is very impulsive, so I got cut off and my camera stopped recording. But to kind of follow up about that iPhone comment, you have to realize your your impulses. You have to realize your downfalls to what are going to pull you down from accomplishing your goals, your habits, whatever they are. And for me, in terms of financial wise, I realize like if I buy something that I regret later, a lot of the times it's because I did it impulsively. Like I'll buy something at work when I'm tired or like on my break when I just ate food. And that's a time where um, you boost serotonin when you're eating, you get more happy, right? Like I could have been angry, I could have been really focused in something, and then when you're eating, it's more of a relaxing moment. My brain was like, oh man, everything's good, everything's cool. How about you just relax and order some new iPhone 13, 14, whatever it may be, or just other things, right? Clothes or whatever it is. So for me, I realized that it was very important for me to give myself some time to not make that impulsive decision. And it's vital when you're building your goals to also understand your downfalls and the pits that will pull you down. Um, if you're someone who's trying to eat healthy, right? Understanding, okay, I want to eat healthy, but why don't I eat healthy already? Is it because my lack of understanding? Is it my lack of cooking? Or is it because I'm stressed all the time? I never have time. You have to think, what are some of the reasons why I'm already not doing what I'm doing? And also, you have to come up with a plan. If I were to eat healthy, I would want to come up with a strategic plan of what I'm going to eat that week. Start thinking about food groups that you want to have. So for me, when I kind of changed over to not eating out and eating just Taco Bell every day and slipping down Cokes, Pepsis, Red Bulls, whatever it may be, a lot of the times it came down to understanding what I do want to eat. And I knew I wanted a protein. For me, chicken is super easy to cook, super easy to not mess up. Even chicken breast, if it's a little dry, it's like whatever, it's palatable. It's a lean meat, high in protein, and that aligns with my goals physically. And with my fitness goals is to try to eat lean meat, try to get over 200 grams of protein a day. So that's my starting point when I'm like, find out what you want. Find out the goals associated with what you're trying to change. So is it just weight loss? Is it just not eating out? Because just not eating out is a great goal. I think you can see a lot of improvement because all of the processed oils, all the processed food that is in fast food, you're eliminating that. And at least if you're cooking at home using extra virgin olive oil, staying away from certain oils, you're going to see immense benefits already. So if that's a goal for you, that's fine. Just focus on your meals. You have to think about and plan for your meals. That's why a lot of people meal prep, just so it's like not a thought. It's just already prepared. There's no excuses. You already put in the time on Sunday to make sure the whole week is taken care of, or whatever day you'll meal prep. My point with that is you have to come up with a plan, and you have to be ready for the pitfalls and plan around your pitfalls. Because if you say, for instance, you're someone who has a very stressful schedule, you work all day, don't have time to cook, right? And you know this, but you want to start eating healthy. I can already see an issue that's going to come up. You're going to come home exhausted from your workday, and you are not going to cook food. And you are going to decide to eat fast food because it's fast, it's easy, it's quick. And I'm not here to judge you for that. That's something that I've routinely done for majority of my life, and you can call that from my nurturing of being a kid and us eating out all the time, even though we shouldn't have. When you have no money, you probably shouldn't be eating out, but that's just how I was raised. Uh, but I understand that mindset, and I understand that it's easy. It's easy. It's easy to just get easy food. But at the end of the day, your goal is to start eating healthy. Your goal is to start taking care of yourself. That's not easy in this day and age, especially when food, the Western diet, is against you already. Numbers of obesity has never been higher. And that's crazy because everything else in this world has improved dramatically, right? Like cars, gas mileage, technology, right? The fact that I can even have a podcast at home without needing a whole studio is pretty impressive. But food somehow seems to just get more and more and more toxic unless you're conscious of what you're eating. So one pitfall that we talked about was possibly not having enough time. Another thing is that you have to pay attention to is stress. Stress is something I deal with, but for the most part, I've kind of eliminated. My wife and I, she makes me very happy, not in a weird way, but we never argue. We never fight. We're very honest with each other. There's no animosity in our day-to-day. We don't ever have situations where we're trying to trigger each other, right? When we come home every day, we're just happy to see each other. We're happy to get through the day, and now it's almost a new day starting. And even while we're at work, if we text each other, hey, I'm not doing well, we try to pick each other up. And that's something that I'm blessed with in a partner. And some of you may not have that kind of situation, but you can take control of how unhappy you are, truly. Just a podcast I listened to the other day, being positive is a habit. Being negative is a habit. It truly is. Like, if you wanted to, you could wake up tomorrow and be like, damn, I'm happy to be alive. Damn, this food is so good. Or, I'm so happy I have the ability to afford this house or this car. Or I'm so happy I have all the great friends I have. You can choose to have a positive outlook, but we tend not to, right? And I think that's part of our evolution has been like, we need to keep improving. And that's what's triggering the response of negativity. Because if you're not satisfied with something, the intention is to get better, right? And that's a good thing, but also you have to manage it. Being mad at yourself for not being a millionaire or not being a model, or not having a six-pack, or not accomplishing some goal that you saw someone on social media accomplishing, that's not healthy, guys. It truly isn't. That's where I think maybe times before social media were a little easier, because back then they couldn't really compare themselves to anyone. If you grew up in a rural area, or the country, who are you comparing yourself to? You were comparing yourself to everyone else in your town who probably worked at the same mill you did. And that could go to my hometown of, in middle of Indiana. When we were growing up, I just remember the GM plant was like the biggest thing. That was a great job. Working at a plant was a great job. And as we've got more exposed to social media and things like that, we compare ourselves to these, I won't call them gods, but in a way they are the top of the pinnacle of human success in our eyes, because that's what they are portraying, right? They may be miserable. You don't know how they feel. All you see is the success that they have. You have the power to just be as happy with your life as you think you would be with their life. And that's important. That's a habit you should prioritize, is being happy with yourself. So being happy is a habit in itself. And with that comes limiting a stress. And with limiting a stress, it gives you more opportunity to be intentional with your decisions. So you're not binging on bad food. You're not, ingesting a ton of social media. You're conscious enough to be like, maybe I should just go for a walk. Or maybe I should read a book because I had a good day today. And I'm conscious. It's very important to be conscious in your day-to-day life, guys. If you're not conscious, you're just going to see years disappear without learning anything, because all you've been doing is being stressed out of your mind, eating Taco Bell, not progressing in the passions that you want to be. And so if you're listening to this, I'm here for you. Like, I think anyone listening has been there at a point in their life where they're like, man, I am drowning. But you have the ability to pick yourself up. You're just as capable as anyone else. You're just as capable. You have to see that. You have to believe that. And let's start changing our mindset to being more positive. Finding the little things. Having gratitude. Gratitude is the secret to happiness. Being grateful for anything. Being grateful for the taste of salt and pepper, for Pete's sake. Like, just enjoy life. It's that easy. If not, make it that easy. Find the things that are going to make you happy. If you're unhappy with certain things in your life, start making the changes. You're capable. And then we can avoid small things like stressful days. Not small things, but you can limit things like stressful days because it's not happening 6 days a week and you just have one good day. You're having 6 good days a week with one okay day. But you're still staying constant with the things that you're wanting to improve on. So your diet, for instance, is not going to be hampered by a stressful day. Something that, to an extent, I believe that you can control. And some professions are a little different. But if you're coming home stressed out every single day, do you really think that that's good for your health? That should be rule number 1. And I'm cool with being a workaholic, but within being a workaholic, you can also be happy. During the summer, I tend to work like 52 hours, 55, 60 hours a week. And even though I'm like fatigued, I still come home and I'm like, life's pretty good, guys. Life's pretty good. On my drive home, I'm like, man, the sun's up. I love my car. I love my wife. I'm excited to go home. I'm excited to eat some food. I'm excited to eat some chicken. I'm happy that I worked out this morning. I'm killing it. You can find things to be grateful for. You just have to be intentional with wanting to be grateful. You have to form that habit of, man, things could always be worse. And, I think it is nice to be able to draw from some of those things of your bad days. One of David Goggins' expressions is like having something in the cookie jar, which I loved his book, but I used the cookie jar not in a physical extent that maybe some people have interpreted it, but he essentially was explaining that, like, your toughest days, your toughest times in your life, I won't necessarily say the traumatic ones, but sometimes those ones linger and pull people down and they're hurtful. You can put those in the cookie jar and use those for good. What I mean by that is when you are having what is a so-called bad day, go back to remembering the worst day. And you'll quickly realize on your worst day, this so-called bad day is 100 times better than your worst day. And pull that out of the cookie jar and be like, man, at least this isn't happening today. Be grateful for that, you know? And you can pull that out physically too, you know? A lot of the times, you know, in my mindset, if I'm like on, I'd normally do, 5 sets of 10 when I'm lifting, just whatever. If I'm on like my last set and I got 2 more reps to hit and I'm like dead, right? Your muscles aren't going. That 40% that you have left, that determines who you are as a person. If you're the person who's just like, oh, my muscles are tired, I'm just going to rack it, whatever. That's the kind of person that you are. Because habitually, you're coming short of who you want to be. And it's important to dig in deep when shit's tough. I'll probably bleep that. But when things are tough, that's how you accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. Because as I said in the beginning, nothing worthwhile is easy in our lives. Your passions, your pursuits, they're not easy. So when you're pursuing them, give yourself some grace and understanding that this isn't an easy thing to do. Having discipline to eat healthy, go to the gym, kick ass at work every single day, that's pretty cool. That's pretty accomplished in my opinion. And you can expand on that as you build that foundation. When you're going to the gym, eating healthy, kicking ass at work all day, then it's like, okay, maybe I can add a podcast, you know? Maybe I can start reading books. But you have to get a foundation first. You can't just do all these things at once. I really encourage you to find one thing where you want to optimize in your life and don't quit. Work at it, genuinely. If you want to be healthy and you want to have a fitness passion, if you want to go to the gym, whatever it may be, CrossFit, I don't care. Start with what's going to be, quite honestly, easiest, okay? If you can start changing your diet in the beginning, great. Start focusing on your diet. Get that down. Huberman, on that podcast, he quotes that it's like anywhere from 18 to 212 days to form a habit. In my eyes, going to the gym every day, for me, it was about maybe a month and a half before it was like, okay, when I wake up, there's no question. There's no arguing my internal self. It's just like, hey, I'm waking up. First thing I do, I go to the gym. Could be as simple as first thing I do, I wake up, I get a coffee, right? But for me, it's the gym. And that's when I realized that it's a habit formed. I don't even question it. It's just a part of my identity. Aligning my identity with who I wanted to be. So, with that being said, keep focusing on that one thing that you want to change in your life. If it's eating healthy, I never want to see you at a fast food restaurant again in your life. And that's how you have to think about it. You have to think long term in these things. Now, I still eat out, but I'm still going to challenge you to not eat out ever. Because when you have the foundation and you have the purpose of eating healthy, you never think about, oh, I can't wait for that cheat day. You're already thinking unintentionally. Your intentions should be to never, ever eat out again. I'm going to be healthiest, be the most healthiest me I can be. And that could be for any of your passions. And then, when it's a complete foundational part of your life, eat that piece of pizza. Because that's not going to crack you. You have already established that foundationally you are a healthy eating person. You have the receipts of eating healthy every single day for months, years, decades, centuries. You have the receipts. It's okay to eat out. But when we're first starting to form this habit, I would encourage you not to look forward to the cheat day. And people will tell you, oh, don't, you're being so hard on yourself. Yeah, I am. I have things I want to accomplish. I have things I have to prove to myself that I align with, that's my identity. Part of the whole reason I called this podcast Aligned Identity was strictly because I wanted to align the things I do with who I want to be. Aligning, that is who you are. I want to align every day with the person I'm aiming to be, the successful person I'm trying to be, the healthy eating, gym going, athletic, handsome, very genuine, conscious living, non-stop learning. Me. I want to always be ready to accept information. I always want to be ready to improve myself. And this podcast can hopefully be an outlet for me to learn some things. Discipline of keeping the podcast going every week. But then I'll also learn some skills along the way. Like even setting this podcast up is somewhat of a skill for me because I was not very aware with distributing it to, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever it may be, all the platforms. That's something I learned is like, oh, this is how to do that. How about editing videos? That's going to be something I have to learn. Talking into a camera and making this content, another thing that I'm learning. And it's okay to learn. I mean, it's important to learn the things when you're pursuing these passions because it makes you more flexible to get into something. It makes you more knowledgeable to have conversations, makes you more knowledgeable just about different fields. And whatever passion that you're looking forward to or pursuing, and you're not pursuing that, you're not really being the person you want to be at the end of the day. I think you have to be truthful to yourself and really examine why you're not pursuing the things that you want to. A lot of the times I always felt that it was monetary issues. Money is a huge motivator for a lot of things in life, right? The reason I have a job is because I exchange my time for money. I was explaining to a friend of mine that I don't necessarily love my profession, but my profession fuels my passions. I can afford a nicer gym where I can develop myself. Money has afforded me this podcast that I'm developing myself. Money allows me to purchase Spanish classes where I can develop myself. Money allows me to cook healthy food and develop myself. So where the exchange isn't necessarily great, where I'm going into what I exactly want to do, I have the capacity and the ethic and the motivation to pursue things outside of those work hours on the things that I want to be in my life. I'm pursuing the passions and exploring things on the side. So don't let your job be necessarily a hindrance to your goals and ambitions. If they're really your goals and ambitions, and were really trying everything in your heart, everything in your power to accomplish those things, you're accomplishing those things. And you know it. Like if you literally ripped apart every single bit of your life to accomplish what you wanted to do, and that would give you fulfillment, you could accomplish it. Genuinely. I don't care if you wanted to be the number one fitness influencer in the world. If you really dedicated your life to it, you could accomplish that. And in this podcast, for instance, I'm going to give it my absolute all. Not for fame, fortune, whatever it would come of it. I'm giving it my absolute all to have a community. To be disciplined and put out an episode every single week. And to be the best podcaster I could be. To be the best person in front of a camera. Maybe that's an extension of what I do in the future. But it's also something I've always been curious about. And so this is me exploring that. And whatever it is in your life that you feel like it's something that you need to explore, I encourage you to do that. Make a plan. I didn't buy all this equipment at once. I haven't told the whole world I'm making a podcast. I've been slowly progressing things. And that's another thing that you have to realize is you're not going to build Rome in a day. You're not going to get instant gratification when you do some of these things, especially hard things. Like when I post this, I'm not going to have millions of people listening to it. I'd be lucky to have 7. But that's okay. Because I don't need the gratification now. The gratification for me is the grind. The grind of putting an episode out every single week and editing it, refining it, working on audio, working on visuals, working on the set, which I hope you guys think is nice. I'm not even using my lights. I have some nice natural lighting. But my point is, you have to dedicate time to forming habits. You have to dedicate time into building things that are worth building. You know, Jeff Bezos went from selling books in whatever year it may be. You can research that. And then how long did it take for him to start selling everything and absolutely dominating a marketplace? I'll tell you what, it didn't happen overnight. I bet it was a small progression every single day. The 1% better a day rule. If you were 1% better every single day for 100 days, you're going to be 100% better at whatever you're doing. So if you just start at the gym and you get 1% better every single day, you're going to be 100% better at the gym after 100 days. Take that into video editing. Take that into computer programming. Take that into being an artist. Take that into being a podcaster. We have the capabilities to achieve our goals. And I hope I can encourage you to follow those. Because as someone who may have not had a traditional upbringing, I feel capable. I know I'm capable. And I would love for you to feel the way I feel about this world and this life that we've been blessed with. Absolutely blessed to be alive, guys. But you have to make it worth living. And that's only you. I know we can come up with excuses for, oh, I've had a tough life, this, that, this is what's going on, I don't make enough money, I don't do this. But I know you know how hard you can work. I know you know the kind of ambition you have. And sometimes we just don't tap into it because we're just trying to live casually. And it's easy to be comfortable. That's biologically, probably all our body tells us to do is try to be comfortable, to not overwork, to not overstress, to not do anything. But unless you're not following your dreams in the meantime, you're not going to feel fulfilled. So I would really encourage you, establish what you want to accomplish. Find your hard points or break points, your pitfalls, whatever that may be, and diagnose them and come up with a remedy for when that bad thing happens. I come home stressful. Well, good thing I already meal prepped and all my food is taken care of. Or sacrificing, I don't want to, I can't go get drinks with the boys tonight because I'm taking care of myself. And I'll talk about in this coming up episodes about alcohol, marijuana, social stigmas, social norms that may not be so healthy for you. But you have to understand your pitfalls and be ready to counteract them and already have a plan in place to circumvent that from pulling you away from the things that will make you happy. Because the reason you're sad is because when you try these things, when you try to make these habit changes, they're not foundational. You're still nibbling on the side. You're still having a cheat day here or there, and it doesn't feel satisfying. Part of the grind is finding satisfaction in the grind of eating healthy, of being the person that you want to be. Because it's not easy to do some of these things. The easiest thing would be to just absolutely binge eat Domino's every single day and have it delivered to your door right after you get home from work. That's the easiest thing, but it's not going to amount to anything but diabetes and terrible nutrition, and will also leave you feeling sleepy and horrible. Like, I don't want to get too far on food, but my point is you have to be ready to counteract those pitfalls, because those are what's going to lead you to, I'm not capable. I'm not worthy. This is too hard. I can't do this. Or my favorite, I'll start again next week. In the book, Atomic Habits, he's like, don't quit one day. You don't take one day off. And that's crazy to think about. But if your foundation is a certain thing, you don't take a day off. That's who you are. So don't take a day off. Don't take two. Because two, it's not even a habit anymore. You already broke it. So stay on top of being the person you want to be. That's the trick, guys. I truly believe in that. But you have to do the little things like sleeping well, managing stress, managing all these little things that could pull you away from your goals and aspirations. You have to manage that. So, acknowledge your pitfalls. Then after that, after you've found what you want to pursue, you found your pitfalls or the things that will pull you down, and you found the remedies, and you've consistently been able to do whatever that passion, that goal may be, and one day you wake up and it's just, it's like waking up and getting a cup of joe, cup of coffee. It's that easy, then you've made it. And that's there. It truly is. Those things, when you do things such habitually, you're used to it so much. And I encourage every single one of you to get used to feeling uncomfortable in the beginning. Because I tell you what, after 100 days of doing anything, you're going to feel a lot more comfortable on day 100 than you are at 1. Remember that and have that mindset. That just because I'm uncomfortable now doesn't mean in 100 days I'm going to feel uncomfortable and this is going to be my thing. This is going to be who I am. I'm going to be great at whatever it is that I'm pursuing. So, after you have that wonderful feeling that it doesn't take any energy for you to accomplish your goals and tasks that you have set in front of you, let's look to improve on that. Let's look to either optimize or let's look to maybe add something new. So if you're eating healthy and you've been like that for months and you're killing it nutritionally, let's add some fitness. Let's add some mental work. Let's add something that could improve your career. Let's add something that you're passionate about, something you're curious about. Because you already have that foundational goal, that foundational purpose, that foundational part of your life set. Eating healthy is who you are because you have those receipts. You've been doing it for years, months, decades, whatever. It's safe to add something new. When we don't have something truly established, when it still feels like a difficulty to do that baseline goal, that baseline task, and we try to just add everything. So I want to eat healthy. I want to go to the gym. I want to read books. I want to do cold showers. I want to do saunas. I want to run miles. I want to do all these things. And you just start doing it all at once. Your body is just going to be like, dude, this is not you. This is not who we are. What the hell is going on? And eventually you're going to crack because you've set so many new things. Your body doesn't have time to truly put that into a routine, doesn't have any capabilities to deal with one stressful day, because you have one stressful day. Instead of just dealing with one thing, you have to deal with freaking everything. You still have to run a mile. You still have to jump in the cold tub therapy. You still have to do a sauna. You still have to do this, that, this. What? You're going to miss one at least on a stressful day. So be tempered in expectations in the beginning, but have a mindset that in a year, in 1 year, you can grow so much. And as long as you stay dedicated to whatever it is, I promise you, it may even come sooner. It might be 3, 6, might be 1 month. I don't know. Everyone is different when it comes to building these habits. But I guarantee within 1 year, if you do something that foundationally is purposeful for you, you're going to be so happy you dedicated 1 year. And on top of that, you're going to be ready for year 2. You're going to be ready for year 3. Imagine 5 years of pursuing something intentionally with effort, with motivation, with ambition. 5 years of being intentional. You will be exceptional at whatever it is. And that could be building a business. That could be your fitness journey. That could be your health journey. That could be your running journey. That could be your career journey. We have to start thinking long term, guys. We're so used to an instant gratification world. And it's tremendously important to remember the big things that you're looking for in life, the biggest rewards are built and given from long-term goal repetition and determination. So think long term and work hard for that. And I tell you what, in 1 year, you'll be so proud of yourself. So I encourage you, whoever you are listening, that you're capable, and it's going to get tough, but you were built tougher. And you can accomplish whatever goal you're set out to do. But you have to give it your all. And you have to remember, it's what is it? It's not a race, it's a marathon. Something like that. I probably butchered it. But the tortoise and the hare, slow and steady will win the race. Because going slow and building that foundation, you're just going to be stair-stepping. Instead of running that race where we're here and then we're just going to drop because we didn't have the foundation to build the stairs on. So guys, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. I hope you have sparked some motivation. Please, for this podcast to grow, it's truly up to you guys and your guys' feedback. The likes, the comments, the subscribes, whatever it is. You guys will help me build this community. And I would love for you guys to be a part of it. And I hope you've enjoyed this podcast. And I hope in the future you can align your goals, your passions with the person you want to be and align those identities. Thanks so much, guys.